So have been wanting to do something like this for a little while. This is sort of me showing off some of the weirdest books that I own. It's not maybe all of the weirdest books that I own. I do have a bunch of books that I've picked up more recently, but I tried not to include those books that I acquired maybe in the last year or two, since I've been looking a lot more at that stuff. Most of the stuff I'm going to show is stuff that I've had for a long time. I am going to show a couple books that I just got in the mail the other day for our Secret Society Read. We've got Creepy Baby, of course, joining me. She was in the last video too. Didn't even mention her. Just sitting back there, giving you a finger gun too, by the way, if you can't tell. She's coming for you. You do not want to encounter Creepy Baby on the streets, right? So we're just going to leave it at that. Anyways, I'm going to talk about those newer books that I got as part of a little purchase from eBay, for that channel, for that sub channel of this channel, or whatever the hell we call it, for Secret Society Read. I am going to just show those off real quick, but I want to talk about these are 10 books. I think it's 10 books, or at least 10 writers, I think. I didn't count. I made a list, I think it's 10, of stuff that I've got that is really interesting, weird fiction, or weird slanted. So sometimes fantasy, sometimes just, this has got a bunch of stuff. Let's show it off, right? These are weird books, and we're just going to go with the stack as it is. Oh, I might move one or two down, and we'll do something else too. So here's the other thing. Let's make a little game out of it. So we're going to do a thing where you keep score. If you have heard of the writer, right, know of the writer, but maybe haven't read them, that you get a point for that. If you have read something by that writer, you can get another point, right? So then that's 2 points you get. If you have read the specific book that we're talking about here, that I'm showing, right? It doesn't have to be that exact printing, but that specific book, basically, then that's 2 more points for a total of 4 points if you've read that book, right? So that's pretty cool. Well, actually, I guess you could get 3. If you haven't only read that book, but not anything else, and that'd be 3 points, right? So my own score is not very high. A lot of these books I haven't read, so this is also kind of like a list of like stuff I want to read. And so if there's any particular interest in anything, let me know. And also, if you've got a super weird book, let me hear about it. I am a weird book freak. I like weird books, especially weird fiction. I'm really into like the late 90s and like early 2000s stuff. I don't know what it is. It doesn't have to be super weird, but if it's from that time period and it's kind of weird, I'm like, ooh, what's that? I might want that book. Don't ask me why. I know they're not all great. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Let's get started with this list. So keep track of your own score. I can't help you. Bunch of weird books that I've collected over the years. Most of which I have not had a chance to read, but I believe all of them are pretty interesting. Some of them are kind of hard to come by, and some aren't. So the first one, which I feel like this one, somebody's going to say, "Oh, I've read that." This is a known book. Richard Paul Russo, his Ship of Fools, right? So this book, and you can see how long ago I got this book because it still has the Borders, not Barnes & Noble, people, Borders sticker there on the back. That's not a half-price book sticker either. Yep, paid $6.99 for it. Probably paid a little less because I always had, one thing about Borders is I always had coupons. Man, I worked the hell out of those coupons. One of these books, I think when I was messing with it, I found receipts in here. Yeah, and in looking at this, I know that Russo also wrote the Destroying Angel sort of trilogy, and I would like to read that. It's like a cyberpunk type stuff. Is it cyberpunk? I think it is. So this is let me read you the back here. Home to generations of humans. You know what? We're gonna break out the telescopes here. Ooh, open the satellite doors. Satellite? No, you got it wrong. The starship Argonos has wandered aimlessly throughout the galaxy for hundreds of years, desperately searching for other signs of life. Now, a steady, unidentified transmission lures them towards a nearby planet where the grisly remains of a former colony await the crew. Haunted by what they have seen, the crew has no choice but to follow them when another signal beckons the Argonos into deep space and into the dark heart of an alien mystery. Yeah, it's supposed to be good. It looked good. I have it. I want to read it. It's been a book I've wanted to read forever. You can see, this is, look at it. This book ain't been cracked. Like, probably when I did this a second ago, it's like the first time it's been opened in a while. Okay, this one, you might know the writer. There's a chance you might know the writer. I don't think most people have read this book. And I'd like to read, and all these I'd like to read and review on the channel. I have read this. I've read it and I liked it. And it's by Mark Frost, and it's The List of Seven. The List of Seven is kind of it's not exactly historical fiction. It's sort of like it takes the historical character of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, right, and his friend essentially makes Arthur Conan Doyle into Sherlock Holmes, right? He does Sherlock Holmes things. Oh no, let me take this back. Wait a minute, that's not correct. Hold on, let me read you know what? I'll tell you what this book's about. Let me read you the inside of it. I'll read it, and then we can talk about who Mark Frost is if you don't know already. On Christmas Day, 1984. Nope, it is not 1984. That was George Orwell. 1884, a desperate plea from a mysterious woman leads Arthur Conan Doyle, struggling physician, aspiring writer, and part-time demystifier of the occult, to a seance in London's East End and into a fiendish and deadly trap. Stunned by a shocking display of black magic, Doyle witnesses a murder, nearly falling victim himself, before rescued by a secretive stranger, Jack Sparks, a man who claims to be a special agent to Queen Victoria. He tells Doyle that he has been targeted by a diabolical coven of Satanists, the Dark Brotherhood. I won't read the rest, but kind of a mix of like Sherlock Holmes and H.P. Lovecraft. It's in fact when a few years later, well, more than a few, they had that Neo Gaiman collection that was like all like Lovecraft and Arthur Conan Doyle, like Sherlock and Cthulhu or whatever. You know, I thought, oh, they're just like taking this idea from this book and like making a whole collection of stories about it, right? I don't know if, actually, I'm not sure. I know Gaiman had a story in there. I don't know if he edited that or not. Right? There is a sequel to this, which I have not read. This was a good book. There's a sequel to this I have not read, which I probably should have brought over here because it's over here, called The Six Messiahs. The Six Messiahs. Right? And if you don't know, Mark Frost, I got a sticker there. I got it for $4.99 used. Good job, me. Mark Frost wrote for Twin Peaks. I don't remember to what level he wrote. I don't know that he was the writer for Twin Peaks, but he was known for doing Twin Peaks work. So there you go. So he's actually got a name that you might recognize from other things. Strangely enough, they don't have a lot of List of Seven is not something that's being reprinted or talked about very much. Actually, I think I saw, although I didn't watch it, but I think I saw Steve Donahue holding up something the other day where it had List of Seven. I'm like, oh, somebody else has read it, which is not surprising. Steve Donahue's probably read everything in this damn list. Moving on. Now, this book, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody's read, if you've read older science fiction and fantasy. It's kind of a forgotten story. Definitely something I'm going to read for the channel. I've never read it, but it's Richard Garfunkel's Celestial Matters. Now, Celestial Matter, well, let me read you the back. 1,000 years after Alexander the Great, the Greek Empire has expanded over the world with the help of advanced technology. Its plans for total domination of the entire planet will be complete once the war with the Empire of the Middle Kingdom has been won. Okay, well, that doesn't tell you anything. I'm trying to think. No, it does not tell you. I believe this is also the winner of the Compton Crook Award for Best First Novel. I didn't know the Compton Crook. I didn't even know who that is, but apparently it won. So the premise of this book is that, like, I want to say like Aristotelian, like belief in how physics worked, like the way the Greeks essentially, I guess, thought that physics worked, is how things actually work in this world. So it's like it takes that ancient Greek like idea about how the universe functioned and said, no, that's actually real. That's really how the world works, and like pushes that idea all the way into modern times. So a really great idea for a novel. Now, I didn't read this, but I've always been interested in it and picked it up a few years ago. You know, I saw it and I was like, oh, I'm going to grab that. I did read a second book. His second book was about like this weird time travel thing where people keep going back in time and changing the past. And I'm going to tell you that it's one of those books that was like so far into the idea of its own idea, like so far in its own idea, that I wasn't really sure I could understand what was going on. Like I didn't have anything to like attach myself to. I just felt like I was floating around in this narrative. I'm like people going and doing things, and like they're swimming in time, like literally swimming in time. They had like tails designed to like swim in time, and it was very strange. I'd like to revisit it because it could have just been that I wasn't focused enough at the time to read it. So I'd love to revisit that. I don't remember the name of that book, because I bet you it's not hard to find. But this is really interesting. I remember there being some good praise about this book when it came out, and I think the idea is really weird and strange. I love the idea of like taking ancient Greek sort of philosophy about how the world worked and like saying, well, what if that's how science and like physics actually worked? So I love that. I hope I said physics earlier, not philosophy, but it doesn't matter. You're going to have to forgive me because I say so. Okay. The next one, you're going to have heard about this writer. This is a writer you're going to know. You've maybe heard about this book. I picked this book up a long time ago. It is the way I discovered this writer, and I discovered this writer when this was like kind of a newish book for him. But I've never read it. I've always meant to read it. And that's Jeff Vandermeer. So there you go, probably. And it's Venice Underground. Ooh, I probably should not put that in front of the mic. Venice Underground, right? And I got it from, yes, that's right. Got it from Borders. There's the sticker still in the back, people, right? Some of these guys like to show you the spine. I like to show you the sticker. See, I paid $14. I did not pay $14. Well, I might have after tax, but I know I probably got a 10% discount at the very least. Probably. And interesting enough, I found my a receipt, and here we go. We got a coupon, and it's from Borders. It says no personal. I don't think so. It doesn't say like, here's your. If it had a credit card number in there, I doubt it would be any good. I don't know if you can even see that. Borders is a coupon, a 20% off, one regular price book. Ooh, good job. I have to use it by June 4th. Oh, maybe. Well, it's the 6th. Maybe they'll still on it. 2006. Well, I mean, 19 years later. I mean, maybe. The only thing I do is find a Borders to redeem it at, right? I wonder if Barnes & Noble will honor that coupon. I should ask them. They would hate me. They would laugh, and then they'd say, please go away. You're still here? We're not going to do this. Why are you such a weirdo? Okay. Another one by Vandermeer. Now, this one I feel like is also known. And I don't hear anybody talk about this book, and I think it's one of the coolest things I've ever seen a book do. It's one of my favorite weird books. I've read sections of it, but I never read it in its entirety, which I need to. I think it's literally like my favorite weird book that I have, idea-wise. And it's the Thackeray T. Lambshead Pocket Guide to Esoteric and Discredited Diseases. Edited by Vandermeer, and it has a whole list of different writers in here, right? Lots of the guys from New Weird, and also just other guys who just were writing fiction at that time, right? Also, look at this, boom, got that classy Borders sticker still on there. I'm gonna have to get some lighter fluid and get that thing peeled. The idea of this, right, is that every writer got to write a disease entry and make up a disease and the symptoms for it, as though this was like a medical guide, right? Talk about an awesome idea for an anthology. I think it's just one, and some of them are very weird, very humorous. I know there's some narrative stuff in the back. Lots of like strange little inserts. Totally awesome. So you can still buy this book. This book is still in print. I don't know if you can get the hardback. I thought, this must be hard to get in hardback. I don't think it is. I don't think it is very hard to get in hardback. I don't know. I assume that this is a first edition. Who knows if that means anything? I have no intention of selling it, so I don't know why I'd check. Like it's going to matter to me. And look at this title, like table of contents. Look at that. Isn't that? God damn it! Like this is genius. Like this is, and honestly, slight deviation here, but if you're into gaming, like tabletop gaming, talk about a really weird, cool resource, right? For like, hey, what kind of weird diseases did you get? Oh, you got something out of here. Reverse Pinocchio syndrome. None of these would be fun to get, right? None of this would be fun to. I don't know if anything this would be. I don't know how usable that idea is. Maybe somebody else has got it, and you got to help them find a cure. Just lovely, and it's got Jay Lake is in this, right? Who I know, who Tim Levin, China Millville, Michael Moorcock, Alan Moore. I'm trying to think names that I know right away. Brian Stableford. I know some of these other names I know I probably know, but I'm just not sure. But those are the ones I definitely saw right away. Oh, they had a limited. Oh, there was a limited hardcover. I do not have. This is not a limited hardcover. This is a trade hardcover, right? This was Nightshade Press, right? Nightshade was making some good stuff, and it was all awesome at the time, and I wanted all of it, and I was poor. I was poor, and I could not afford all those awesome goddamn Nightshade books. I wanted all of those. William Hope Hodgson. They still I'm pointing right at Creepy Baby, and she does not like that. Sorry, Creepy Baby. Those you can't even see it, so it doesn't know why I'm at. But the William Hope Hodgson, like really cool leatherette books. I wanted all of them. I could have had the House in the Borderlands one. I could have done it, and I waited, and I missed it, and then it went to price of like 300 something stupid bucks. And I'm like, well, I'm never gonna pay that, so I got some cheap ass freaking version of it, right? Some cheesy junko version. Anyhow, moving on. How you doing? You keeping track? Okay. Now I've read this book. This is one I've read. You might have heard of this writer. But I read this book. This is a book club edition, and I got it from the book club. I think I actually had to rebuy it because I think somehow I lost it and I had to rebuy it. So my copy would have been a little bit nicer than this one is, because I generally my books generally turned out okay, except for my Elric books, which I lent out and they kind of got a little beat up. But I didn't think it was a big deal. I was like, well, these are book club books, no, they're what these are, I can just get another one. But now that I see book club editions selling for a lot, I'm like, they're worth something. Never would have thought that. Anyhow, long lead, Sean Stewart, Resurrection Man. Okay. Now, I told those books about. Did I talk? Oh, I didn't even say what Venice Underground is about. Well, give me a second. Let me finish this. I'll go back. Do we want me to go back? So, this I think is my first Resurrection Man. My first experience with what I think is probably magical realism, and that's kind of what this is like. Stewart's written a few books. I think I have 3 books by him. This and 2 others. I do not have. He has 2 other books listed in here: Passion Play and Nobody's Son. I do not have those. But this was the first book by him that I read, and I enjoyed it. So, what is this book about? It has got a thing on it. I don't know what that is. Sorry. Well, looks like I need to do a book cleaning episode or something now. Right? That's the thing, right? Book car wash. That's the book wash. Yeah, that's it. Wouldn't that be great? I'm gonna make a little book car wash. I'll put like some lighter fluid down, and then we have like some little brushes, and you can turn them like that. Maybe we can get some hamsters on wheels. Yeah, this is good stuff. These are ideas. These are the things to get. Then we can really start producing it. You can mail me your books, and I clean them. I put them through the book car wash. Don't do that. I am not going to clean your books. I like the idea though. So let's read the inside of this one. Dante stared and stared at the corpse, but a blindness waited behind his eyes. It was as if he couldn't see the body, couldn't grasp it, or what it meant. He had never felt fear like this, not in the worst moments of his life. The angel madness was thick in him, and with it came the inevitable dread, a metallic horror that slid like a sword down his throat. His skin crawled as if trying to escape. Goosebumps sprang up in patches on his arms and neck and pricked uncontrollably across his face. His eyes were open, but he couldn't see. His mouth tasted like oil. It wasn't the corpse of someone who looked like him, but Dante himself. Yes, he discovers a corpse, and the corpse is literally his corpse. Really strange, weird stuff. I really remember liking this book. It's been a very long time, so I would like to revisit that and read the other books that he wrote too. I know he wrote one about Galveston, Texas, and there's like this whole like weird kind of like almost, I want to say modern, I guess modern fantasy is right, with like weird non-humans existing in Galveston and like this whole thing going on. It looked super great. I started reading it, but it was a library book, had to go back. But I really enjoyed Sean Stewart's Resurrection Man, so I look forward to revisiting it and getting through those other books of his too. Let me go back to Venice Underground and read you what that's about. I could just do a synopsis, but we'll read the back. In his debut novel, literary alchemist Jeff Vandermeer takes us on an unforgettable journey, a triumph of the imagination that reveals the magical and mysterious city of Venice through three intertwined voices. First, Nicholas, a would-be living artist, seeks to escape his demons in the shadowy underground, but in doing so makes a deal with the devil himself. In her feverish search for him, his twin sister, Nicola, spins her own unusual and hypnotic tale as she discovers the hidden secrets of the city. And finally, haunted by Nicola's sudden mysterious disappearance and gripped by despair, Shadrach, Nicola's lover, embarks on a mythic journey to the nightmarish levels beneath the surface of the city to bring his love back to light. There he will find wonders beyond imagining and horrors greater than the heart can bear. So, yeah, kind of like a Aeneas type journey, like an Aeneid type thing going on there almost, and like a Dante's Inferno thing. I always wanted to read this book. That's how I got interested in Vandermeer when this book came out. Heard about it. This and then City of Saints and Madmen were the two that were out. I still have that copy of that. I'll probably get the new Fancy Pants version they got out now of the all three of them in one or whatever. I think I have the first edition hardback of Shrek. I want to say Shrek. I don't think it's good. It doesn't matter. Moving on. I have it by Vandermeer. The next one, I don't think anybody knows this guy, but you might, and that's Jeffrey E. Barlow and The House and the High. Wait a minute. The House and the High Wood. That's what it's called. And let me read you about this book. Strange things are happening in the town of Shilston-Upcott. A mysterious owl hovers in the sky, watching and waiting. Mournful voices ring out in the night, crying for a lost child. Townsfolk toss and turn in their sleep, haunted by odd, reoccurring dreams. And high above the town, in a massive mansion that has stood empty since the terrible days when darkness was an art and fear was a ritual, a new light shines from a window. A new family has taken residence within its unholy walls, and now only one man, the reclusive squire, was not a word I expected, Mark Trench, will dare to investigate the strange signs and omens and confront the horrible truth. The nightmare has come home again. Yeah, this sounded good. Now this was also, I believe, I know I got this at Borders, but the sticker has been removed. So, but I'm sure I paid sticker price. It was a $14.95 sticker. I don't think I got any cool. I would tend to put like the receipts in these books a lot of times, just sort of like as bookmarks, but I think most of those have since been collected and removed or whatever. But yeah, I remember I almost let that book go, right, a few years ago. I thought, oh, I'm like, what does it really matter? I'm like, maybe you'll read this book. And now when I go back and look at it, I think, oh, this book does look good. I'm glad I didn't get rid of it. I would have been really annoyed, and it would have been very hard for me to find that book again because I would not have remembered the writer's name or title. So next we have this book, and I don't think anybody's going to know this writer's name. And, honestly, because of the font they chose, I would have never gotten his name right because I did not think that was an H. Because I did not think that was an H. And that's The Black Orchids from by Gerald Daniel Horander. Okay. I got this a very long time ago. I remember reading about it and hearing lots of praise and was really interested in it. And there's very little information on it. On the back, right? City of Gates, the Lost City, the Cursed City. Come to A-U-M, I'm going to say where anything can be bought. Come ready for bargain, for love, for power, for dreams. Just remember, the price must always be paid. I believe this is a series of shorter stories. It is. Looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14. Well, yeah, more than 10 stories. About 14 stories, it looks like. And they look really good. In sort of a weird or maybe even new weird tradition. I'm not really sure. Just strange. And not necessarily when I say weird in a Lovecraftian tradition either. It's hard to say. But looks interesting. I did not notice. I'm not going to, never mind. I'm just going to let that go. I'm saving this one here for last. That's the king weird of weird ones, right? We're saving that. The next is 2 books by the same writer. I have 2 books by them. I bought them by this writer. I bought them both at the same time. I think that this writer, think this writer I think has gone on to do some things that are known, and I think these books are read, but at the time, no, there wasn't much information about them, and I really liked them. And it's Stephen Mark Rainey, and he has a book called Balak, right? And I think these covers did a lot to convince me because they're just so strange. Balak is 2 years ago. Claire Chalice's 4-year-old son disappeared without a trace. Now a neighborhood child has vanished right from outside her apartment. Claire saw a strange priest at the scene of the latest disappearance, and when she tells the police about him, they believe she may be involved in the abductions. Suddenly, Claire finds herself at the center of much unwanted attention, both from the police and from a trio of strange and powerful men whose nature is so alien and whose methods are so unspeakable that her life is now in danger. Still, she determined to discover the truth behind the abductions and learn once and for all the fate of her missing son. What Claire cannot realize is that her quest may lead her not to the truth she seeks, but to a place of madness, horror, and condemnation beyond her wildest imaginings. Published by Wildside Press. I don't know, just that's a little tidbit there. These are in the Lovecraft tradition. These are Lovecraftian style weird fiction. I don't know, probably horror. So this is a novel, and I believe this is The Last Trumpet, is also which I also like. I also like this weird, I don't know, almost like this weird cover, this weird art that is, I don't know, this weird style. And who is this artist? Because this definitely was, the strangeness of it convinced me to try it, to pick it up, and never read it. Convinced me to pick it up and never pick it up again. I mean, I've looked at it before, but I really have had it for years and have never read it. It has moved. I don't know how many times I've moved. No, it doesn't say. I don't see the information for the writer right there. Is this second edition? Oh, I don't care. The night the stars fell, we could hear the sounds, that low thump-thump from somewhere in the sky, like the beating of some gigantic heart. In Sylvan County, Virginia, Sylvan? I always doubt, I'm terrible at pronunciation. I always doubt my pronunciation when I read. In Sylvan County, Virginia, strange sounds often accompany the coming of darkness. They drift among the remote and shadowed hills, mountains, and valleys, as if with a purpose, cognizant, alive. Like an ominous figure, the music emanates from the portals, unknown, weaving a soundtrack for the night itself, a dirge for those who dare to venture into the mysterious and forbidding spheres beyond sound. Both of them sounded good, and I think in looking at them, the reviews were good. These were Amazon purchases, right? At the time, I know they were, because I didn't know a bookstore where you would find stuff like this. And these have always looked good. And then a few months ago, when I was moving things around, or not too long, a while ago when I was moving things around, I rediscovered them. Which sounds crazy to say, but they're just out there. But they're just tucked in, right? This shelves, and I thought, oh yeah, these books, and got to thinking about them. I thought, ooh, this is good. And then this is the one. This is the weird one. I think this is the king weird of weird ones, for me. And it's one I definitely want to read. And it's one of those books. I don't remember if I paid. This is also I had to order. I probably did not pay cover price. I probably paid a little more than it. And it just sounded so strange. And sometimes for me, a strange idea that really sells me. And it's Stephen Chapman's Troika. Okay, with this really weird cover. All right, and on the back, it gives a definition. Troika. A vehicle drawn by a team of 3 horses abreast. 2. The minimum coordinate set required to define a single point in 3-dimensional space. 3. A Jeep, a Brontosaurus, and an old Mexican woman. Then it says, beneath the glare of 3 purple suns, manipulated by unseen forces, 3 travelers cross an endless desert. Alex, who wanted to be a machine. Naomi, the human corpsicle. And Eva, who escaped the whale emperor of her native land. And that's it. I mean, you got a quote back here by John Shirley, who I know is a kind of a horror writer. One by Brian Stableford and one by Katha Koja. So some pretty decent stuff. And now this book is kind of, a couple of these, this one I know is a little expensive. This one's kind of pricey to pick up. Although I did just recently, like just a day or two ago, I think it was on Amazon. There was somebody was selling a copy of this, and it was like $18. And I thought, man, maybe I should just buy it. And I was like, oh, what do I need another? And I didn't. I came back like the next day or the day two, and it was gone. I was like, well, okay. I was like, it would have been kind of cool. I should have bought it. If I happen to run across another one, I will pick it up cheap, and then maybe I pass it off to somebody. Be like, hey, you read this now. You read it too. Yeah, this just looks so strange and weird, and it just, I don't know. And I just loved it. Oh, it says it was the winner of the 1997 Philip K. Dick Award, and it was on the Locus recommended reading list. Isn't that something fancy pants? Put that one in your sock and set it out for Santa Claus. Yep, nobody says that. I just did. It's a second edition. Dang it. Dang it. Well, it's okay. I don't care. I don't get too wrapped up in that stuff. But it just looks so goddamn weird and good. And reviews, the handful of reviews you can find about it are saying it's pretty good and weird. And that's something I like. So there's all that. Now, I'm going to show off real quick. So that's the list. Give us your score. I don't know what my score would be. I've heard of all these writers. That's kind of unfair for me. But I've only read Resurrection Man and the List of Seven. Right? That's it. That's all I've read by any of those. There was more than 10 books, by the way. I just realized I grabbed a Mark Frost book and I had 2 of these books, but we'll figure that out. I'm not real worried about it. You police yourselves. Anyway, so in picking up this book for Secret Society Read by John Skipp and Craig Spector, The Light at the End. Ooh, and there is some shiny light there. Look at that. Shiny, shiny cover. And this was a pretty good copy. Honestly, this was the guy who was selling this, or I should say the seller, because I don't really know who was selling this. Offered this price. The only thing, it's got a little bit of the spiny cricklies, but that's cool. Somebody read it, but they didn't abuse it. That guy had a bunch of stuff. I said it again. That person had a bunch of things in their market on eBay. And just sort of looking, and I'm always like, oh, it's like save on shipping if you get more than one thing. I'm always like, well, maybe there's something else here. It's dangerous. If you like to read, don't ever do that. Because I did it, and it was dangerous because I paid too much. So, got that. I am very pleased with that. And I should also say that person shipped that very, very quickly and extremely well packaged. Extremely well packaged. And I do appreciate that, because when you buy this stuff, you don't want to get tore up. But he had some other stuff. I'm going to link too. I'm going to link that eBay seller, so you can go check out his store. So he had lots of really interesting and weird stuff, lots of good like old horror stuff. Must be somebody who runs like a physical store or booth or something, because a lot of his stuff is signed. And he said something, and I'll get to why I say that in a minute. But in relation to that book, one of the writers from this book, right, Craig Spector, right, this is our Secret Society read. This is the next book we're going to read after Pin, right? We've read Pin. Now we're on to this, this is going to be cool. Supposed to be one of the first splatterpunk books. One of the writers for that, Craig Spector, he had his first solo novel, Turnaround. And I think I looked up a little bit about this, and it was well reviewed. It is awesome. It's got this fancy pants cellophane on it, and even so cool, it was signed, which I think was awesome. I was like, oh, cool. I don't get it's a special signed edition, limited to 1,000 copies. Whoa. What number is it? We don't know, but we know it's limited. I don't know what number this is. It doesn't say. Maybe it says somewhere else. Well, it doesn't matter. It says. So I got that, and the reviews were kind of like, hey, this is a good book. So that seems cool. The other writer for Light at the End, John Skipp, he had some of his books, and I saw this title, and this is what really sucked me in. I saw this title, I'm like, well, damn it. I'm going to have to buy this book. And so I did. And it has what I think is one of the weirdest titles I've ever heard, The Emerald Burrito of Oz. And isn't that a beardo cover? Yeah, awesome. And check this out. It was signed, and see if you could read that inscription. Isn't that cool? Dear consumer, thank you for purchasing our product. Skip 2006. P.S. He. And he did the little swirly curly thing. Love it. So I think the seller said something in the eBay ad or eBay sell page for this, where he was selling it, that I guess he had a booth and that John Skip came by and signed that for him and was like, oh, here, or something like that, which I think is really fun. I think it's awesome. So I don't know. I think it was pretty cool. So I'm interested in checking this out. It's such a weird title. Reviews are pretty positive about it. You know, reviews are kind of like, oh, this novel's cracked out and crazy. Well, I'm like, well, it should be if it's called The Emerald Burrito of Oz. It does not say very much back here. It's mostly, what does it say? It says, the Cold War is over. There is no reason to hide the existence of this magical place any longer. I accept the responsibility for this breach of national security, and I am willing to face the consequences. Noel Blitzheimer, ex-CIA operative. Keep walking and see what you get. Joe Snelling, farmer, original barn owner in Silas K. Oh, I see. I thought these were actual reviews. These are not. This is like in jokes for part of the book. This is so funny. Hippity hi ho yay. Jeans Superbook. Jeans Superbook. Okay. And then it says, one word of caution. Only a small percentage of the language bushes are sentient. Always ask permission before plucking off any of the leaves. And so you're going to Oz, U.S. Government Handbook. You haven't lived until you've posted naked for a roomful of sweaty munchkin artisans. Aurora Q. Jones. Interesting. Yeah, so super fun and crazy and silly, and I don't know what it's going to end up being like, but I'm definitely interested in giving it a try. And the last one I picked up from him was unrelated to those other books, by Howard Waldrop, called Going Home Again. And these is a collection of his short stories, and it looked really interesting. It looked like good and weird. Here it says he's one of the best short story writers alive, bar none. In and out of any genre, his stories are unlike any others on the planet. They are regional writers. They are postmodern writers. There are New Yorker writers and John Campbell School writers and New Wave writers and cyberpunk writers and fantasists and magical realists. And there's Howard. His stories are wacky, whimsical, profound, emblematic, funny, and right off the deep end, and most of them keep resonating as memories of experiences lived rather than read. Howard's stories are larger than life, yet they somehow touch the very center of it. Jack Dan. I do not know who Jack Dan is, but it's a very glowing praise of it. And honestly, the reviews of this were very similar. Like people's reviews were very high praise of this book, and how he doesn't write very much, but how what he writes is always really good. So I'm like, well, that sounds pretty damn cool. Howard Waldrop. I said it right. That's all I got in front of me. That's all I'm going to talk about. Thank you very much for tolerating me. I'm sure that I have made many pronunciation errors. The glasses do not help. They don't help with that part. Thank you very much for watching. A like and subscribe. Damn it, I always forget to do this. A like and subscribe always help. Post your score, right? I mean, I'd be interested to see. I would be very surprised if anybody can say that they've heard of all these writers before I brought them up. Even even if I had run across their names, I would have been like, what? You know, I guess you could say that the last four are extra credit. But I guess, I don't know if they're extra credit or not. You decide. Police yourselves. I like that. Yeah, police yourselves. Okay, I'm done. That's it. Thanks very much. I'm going to say the subscribe, there's support links, there's stuff like that. We got more Secret Society stuff coming up. We're doing the pin review, and of course, Light at the End is the next thing on my book thing to read. That NIFT review should be out by now. Curtis and I are doing we're going to be doing a whole thing with talking about Evangelion. That should be around the time of this video. I don't really know, but we're going to do it tomorrow. So whatever it takes me to edit it and put that out, that'd be cool. Yeah, lots of fun stuff going on. Also, there's some talks I'm going to get to possibly be on the Avram Davidson podcast, right? I did not know that Bob from Wheel of Genre was part of the Avram Davidson podcast, and I am super excited. I've been wanting to get on there. Just had a difficult time connecting with the channel, right, with Seth over there, just for whatever reason, right? And so I'm really excited because if you haven't watched anything else, I really like Avram Davidson's writing, like a ton, like a huge amount. And so I'm super excited to go over there and get to talk about Avram Davidson. So that's coming up too. And maybe some other things. Maybe some other things. I don't know. Even I don't know. That's how much of a tease this is. Even I don't know how much I'm teasing. Just teasing my... We're done. Bye.